All right, so we're going deep on website maintenance today.
Uh-huh.
Looks like you've really given us a lot to work with here.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you're ready to take things to the next level. You want to know how to keep your site running smoothly? Yeah.
It's super important.
It's like you've built this awesome garden, right?
Mm,
But now you got to figure out how to keep it healthy.
that's such a good analogy. I mean, yeah, building the website, that's just step one. The real work starts after that, keeping things in tip-top shape.
And from what I'm seeing here in all this research, taking care of your website, it's not just like fixing typos.
Oh, definitely not.
We're talking about things that can actually, seriously impact your success. I mean,
Oh.
even your business could be affected if things aren't right.
Yeah.
Did you know that a site that looks neglected can make people trust you less?
Totally true. I mean, think about it. You go to a website and it's all messy, like things are broken or it's outdated. You're going to wonder, right? It's like walking into a store that's a total disaster.
Yeah, totally. You start to question if you should even be there. So, okay, before we get into the how-to of all this, let's just define what we're even talking about here. What is website maintenance exactly? Seems kind of broad, you know?
Yeah, it covers a lot, for sure. But basically, it's about being proactive. So making sure your website is running well before something breaks, like keeping it healthy, secure, all of that good stuff.
So it's not just waiting for something to go wrong and then fixing it?
No, it's about preventing those problems in the first place.
Okay, I get that being proactive is key. But honestly, sometimes the internet feels like a scary place.
It can be a little intimidating, yeah.
Like all those stories about hacking and data breaches makes you wonder, is all this maintenance really necessary?
It's absolutely crucial for security. But I get it, it's easy to get overwhelmed by the scary stuff. Honestly, there are some pretty easy things you can do to stay safe.
Like what?
Strong passwords, for one,
Yeah, that's a given.
and two-factor authentication.
Uh-huh.
Everyone should be doing that these days, not just for websites.
All right, those are the basics. But let's say you're already doing all that. What are some other things, maybe less obvious, that people miss?
Good question. One thing I recommend are regular security audits. There are tools and even services that can scan your website,
For what?
looking for any vulnerabilities, basically any weak spots.
Oh, right.
It's like a health checkup, but for your website's security.
So you're not just setting up your security and then forgetting about it.
Right.
You're constantly checking and making sure everything's still strong.
Exactly. And, the internet is always changing, right? New threats pop up all the time, so you have to stay on top of it.
Makes sense. And speaking of things that can go wrong, let's talk about backups.
Ugh. Backups.
I gotta admit, I learned this the hard way. Lost some important files a while back.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was not fun.
Happens to the best of us.
Really. So it's common.
More than you think. I mean, you can lose data for all sorts of reasons. Accidental deletion, computer crashes, even hackers.
So backups are like your safety net.
Exactly, like having an insurance policy for your website, just in case.
So peace of mind is the main benefit.
For sure, but it's more than that. Imagine you lose all your content, everything you've worked for, your customer data, gone.
Yikes.
A good backup means you can restore it all. Like going back in time, before the disaster happened.
That's a relief.
It's about minimizing downtime, keeping your business running.
All right, you've convinced me. Backups are non-negotiable from now on. Now let's talk about something that drives me crazy as a website visitor. Slow loading times.
Yeah.
We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Waiting for a page to load and it's taking forever.
The worst.
It's so frustrating.
And it's actually a really big deal. I mean, people have no patience these days. If your website is slow, they're gone, off to your competitor.
Oh, for sure. I've done that myself. But is it really that important?
It affects everything. Your bounce rate, that's how many people leave after just one page. And a high bounce rate, that looks bad to search engines. So it can hurt your ranking, how visible you are in searches.
Okay, so slow website equals fewer visitors and potentially fewer customers.
Exactly.
Got it. So what causes a website to be slow? And how do we fix it?
Lots of things can contribute. Image files that are too big, messy code. Even your hosting plan can make a difference.
Hosting plan.
Yeah, that's where your website lives, essentially. And then there are broken links.
Oh, yeah. Those are annoying.
Those can really mess with your site's performance, too.
They're like potholes on the information superhighway,
Yeah.
taking you nowhere.
And thankfully, most content management systems, like Wix, they have built-in tools to find and fix those broken links.
Oh, that's good to know.
It's a simple thing, but it makes a big difference for visitors.
So we've talked about security, backups, website speed, and broken links. All sounds pretty important. What else falls under this whole website maintenance thing?
Oh, content is a big one.
Content.
Keeping your content fresh, relevant, keeping people interested.
Right, like you don't want your website to feel stale.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
got to be engaging.
Just like you wouldn't want a store with outdated products.
Precisely. Content moderation, that's what it's called. It's about evaluating your content, making sure it's high quality, adding new stuff, updating old stuff, even just tweaking things here and there.
So it's not just about having content, it's about the right content.
Yeah, content that resonates with your audience, keeps them coming back.
How does this tie into everything else we've been talking about?
It all comes back to SEO.
SEO.
Search engine optimization, basically how well your website shows up in search results.
Oh, right, like on Google?
Exactly. And search engines love fresh, relevant content.
They do.
Oh, yeah, it shows them your website is active,
Makes sense.
which can lead to higher rankings, more visibility, more visitors.
It was a win-win.
Totally. And you don't have to do a ton at once. Even small, consistent updates make a big difference. The key is to have a plan, a content strategy.
A strategy.
Yeah, but that's probably a whole other deep dive.
I'm already intrigued. But before we go there, let's get practical. How often do we need to be doing all this maintenance stuff? Feels like a lot to juggle.
It can be, for sure.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You don't have to do it all at once. Think of it like a calendar, but for your website.
A website maintenance calendar.
Exactly. Some tasks are weekly, some monthly, some less often.
Okay, I like that idea. Makes it feel more manageable. So what kind of stuff would go on this calendar? Where do we even begin?
Let's start with weekly stuff. So this is all about keeping an eye on how your website's doing, like checking its vital signs,
Okay.
traffic, user behavior, performance, all that.
Uh-huh.
Tools like Google Analytics, those are super helpful. They give you so much data on how people are using your site.
So it's like a weekly checkup.
Exactly. Make sure everything is running smooth, catch problems early.
Okay, what about monthly tasks then?
Monthly is all about security, updates, and backups.
Oh, right, backups. We can't forget those.
Definitely not. Make sure your software is up to date, passwords are strong, and those security plugins are doing their thing.
Like taking your website to the doctor.
Exactly. A regular checkup to keep it healthy.
So we're preventing those digital disasters, right?
Exactly.
Weekly checkups, monthly maintenance. What about every 3 months?
Quarterly. It's time to look at your content.
Yeah.
Really dig deep.
Deep dive into content.
Exactly. Ask yourself, is it still relevant? Engaging? Are you using the right keywords?
Keywords.
Yeah, the words people use to find you on search engines.
Right.
This is also a good time to look at your SEO strategy overall.
To make sure you're doing everything you can to be visible.
Exactly. You want to show up in those search results.
Basically, you want to show up in those search results.
Yeah, I like that. Make sure everything is fresh, appealing, in the right spot.
And what about the big stuff? Like things you only do once a year?
Annually, that's when you take care of all the admin stuff. Renewing your domain name, checking your hosting plan, making sure all your tools and subscriptions are up to date.
Like spring cleaning for your website.
Yeah, something like that. Get everything tidy and organized.
It's also a good time to look at the bigger picture, right? See if your design is still working, if it needs an update.
Exactly. Maybe it's time for a redesign or just some tweaks. The key is to be constantly evaluating, making adjustments.
To make sure your website is still aligned with your goals.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got our website maintenance calendar, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. That's actually really helpful, breaking it down like that. But now, the big question, do we do all this ourselves? Or do we call in a professional?
That's the big dilemma, right? DIY or hire a pro.
Exactly.
And there's no right answer, honestly. It depends on you, your needs, your resources, how comfortable you are with tech.
Okay, so let's break it down for our listeners. What are the pros and cons of each approach?
All right, so hiring a pro, that can be great if you're busy or if you're not super techy.
Okay.
They handle everything. Security, content, all that.
Like having a website mechanic.
Yeah, something like that. Keeps everything running smoothly under the hood.
But I'm guessing it costs money?
Oh yeah, it can get pricey, especially if you need ongoing help.
Right.
And you also lose some control. You're not doing it yourself.
Okay, that makes sense. What about DIY then?
Well, the biggest plus is you save money. You're not paying someone else to do it.
Right, that's a big one, especially if you're starting out.
Exactly. And it can be really rewarding learning new skills, managing your own site.
Yeah, taking ownership.
Yeah,
But there must be some downsides too, right?
of course. The biggest one is time. You need to invest time to learn. And it can be a steep learning curve, depending on what you need to do.
So you could end up spending more time than you save.
It's possible. And you got to keep up with new stuff. Tech is always changing.
So it's a trade-off. Save money, but maybe spend more time and energy. And if you're not comfortable with tech, it can be intimidating.
Yeah, like trying to fix your own car without knowing anything about cars.
Right. Sometimes it's better to just leave it to the experts.
Exactly. So the point is, there's no one right answer. You have to weigh the pros and cons, see what fits your situation, your budget, your time, your skills, all of that.
So it's about finding the right balance.
Exactly.
I gotta say, after all this, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed.
Haha, I get it.
It's like we opened Pandora's box of website maintenance. And now I'm not sure how to close it.
I know, right? That's a lot.
But try not to think of it as overwhelming. Think of it like, having all these tools at your disposal. Like a toolbox, right? You don't need to use every tool for every job.
Okay, I like that. Just pick the ones that make sense for you.
Exactly. Website maintenance, it's not about...
Like, it's not a one-time fix. It's a journey.
So we're never really done with website maintenance.
Pretty much.
Okay, so for our listener who's tuning in, why should they care about all this? What's the benefit of putting in all this time and effort?
Because you want your website to work for you, right?
Well, yeah.
A well-maintained website, it attracts the right visitors, it builds trust, credibility, it helps you achieve your goals, whatever those might be.
Whether you're selling something, sharing information, whatever.
Exactly.
So it's like the difference between a store that's a mess and one that's clean, organized, inviting.
Perfect analogy. Your website, it's your online storefront. It's the first impression people get.
So if we're not taking care of it...
You're basically saying you don't care, and that can hurt you, especially in today's world.
So it's not just about the tech stuff.
Yeah.
It's about how you present yourself, your business.
Yeah.
Building that trust.
Exactly. And the best part is, even small efforts can make a big difference. You don't have to do everything at once.
Oh, good.
Just start small, build a routine.
Okay, that feels much less scary. So, as we wrap up here, what's the one piece of advice you'd give our listener? Someone who's ready to take control of their website,
Don't be afraid to experiment. Try things out, see what works.
Good advice.
And don't be afraid to ask for help. There are so many resources out there, people who can help.
Yeah, don't be afraid to reach out.
The important thing is to have a website you're proud of.
Okay, so to sum it all up, website maintenance is essential if you want to succeed online.
It is.
Be proactive, stay ahead of the curve, make sure your website is functional, but also engaging.
And don't forget, it's not just about the tech. It's about creating an experience that people love.
Right, it's about connecting with your audience.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good takeaway for everyone listening. Next time you visit your website, ask yourself, if this were my actual store, how much attention would I give it? Because your website deserves that same level of care.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into website maintenance. Until next time, keep those websites healthy and thriving.